Well, hello everyone, Texie88 here and welcome to another review. And now I'm taking a look at Driller for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. Released by Incentive Software Limited in 1987, it was the first game to use the Freescape 3D system, and it's on record as being the first game to feature solid 3D objects. Now, 3D objects in modern gaming is pretty much a staple of, because pretty much everything you see is polygonal. But this was a game that reportedly originated or that and allowed you to move about in it in anything even remotely resembling the way you can move about 3D environments now. And what you got to do is that a planet called Ivath has two moons, Mitral and Tricuspid, and Mitral is in danger of exploding due to gas buildup underneath its surface. So what you got to do is place a drilling rig in each of the 18 sectors of Mitral and position it in such a way that no less than 50% of the gas is allowed to release it. So let's get on with this. Just got to figure out what the controls are. So Q and W allow me to rotate to left and right. And how do you know which way you're facing? See where it says plan near the bottom left of the screen? At the moment I'm facing roughly south. And O allows me to move forward and K allows me to retrace go backwards. And if you press space, you can actually go into targeting mode, which means you actually move the crosshair around. And N and M allow you to rotate your view. And U allows you to about face or do a U-turn if you like. And P and L allow you to look up and down. And Naught allows you to shoot. So what happened there? I just did a U-turn. There are times when it can run a bit slowly, like just then, if there's a lot on the screen, but remember this is an 8-bit computer, and of course it's in monochrome to get around the Spectrum's attribute problem. And sometimes there's a cross which gives you an idea of where you need to put your drilling rig, other times not. And although in something called an excavation probe, there is a point in another of the sectors of Mitral in which you can swap it into a reconnaissance jet that can fire, but you can't actually place drilling rigs if you're in that. You can only place drilling rigs if you're in this excavation probe. And you can also notice how it says angle and step. You can also adjust the length of that if you need to make either bigger angle rotations or make bigger steps than you might otherwise want to. So if you needed to position yourself very precisely for whatever reason, then it'll allow you to do that. So I'll just place the drilling rig. 87% success, so that sector's clear. Because although it's not dead center, because it said I did 87% success and the minimum is 50%, that counts as this sector being cleared, and this is what you do in all 18 sectors of the game. Let's go into another sector. Right now I'm in the sector named Lapis Lazuli. Again, it's going a bit slowly because of how much it's having to process. But it is not totally unbearable. Now that looks like a dead end, but there's actually a very tiny gap which you can go through. How do I get past this then? Pressing I pulls up that information screen. Okay, I can't seem to do anything with that either at the moment or at all. I'm sure I could get past that somehow. I just can't remember how. So I'll just go back to the so that's the door I came through to come in here in the first place. So I'm back in Amethyst, the area where I started. Let's go through this door instead. Now that thing that just there is a laser that they never miss. Every time you take a hit, you can see my shield is. Every time you take a hit, your shield drains. And notice near the bottom right corner, it has there's a side view, a bit like the plan view. The side view tells you whether or not you're facing forward or not. Now you have to be very careful not to fall too far in this game, otherwise you will die. So, oh, I see there are some steps over there, so I need to go on those steps to make sure I don't die. Because if you fall too far, it's instant game over. With that side view thing, as long as it's facing directly to the right like that, you're facing directly forward. See if I can figure out where to place this drilling rig. That 54%, that's high enough. As long as it's 50%, as long as it's 50% or more, it's fine. You'll just get better points if you can get it to closer to 100%. Ah, I remember this one. On the other side of that building, there's a rather nasty downward pointing laser beacon, which you can just see in the near the top of the screen. It's that thing there. Shooting that one won't work. What you actually need to do is shoot all the wires on this pylon here. Oh, God. That's it. I can now safely go under that laser beacon without it absolutely pummeling me with laser fire. And remember, as I said, the laser beacons never, ever, ever, ever miss. If you're in range of one and you're in a position where it will fire, it absolutely 100% will hit you. Anything in here? Oh yeah. Okay. So I've got to figure out what to do with this. So each time I shoot those, it changes shape. So now I've just got to figure out what shapes I need to set those to. So as you can see, there is a puzzle element to this. See, there's that laser beacon I was on about earlier. Only because I shot the wires on that pylon did that thing and not absolutely rip me apart. Oh God, another. I don't think I'd better hang around in here. Another thing I've noticed, if you press R and F, see where it says extend near the bottom left corner? If you're at your maximum extension, it'll say 3. If you lower yourself, it says 2, and then it says 1, and then it's 0. If I remember correctly, that's how you actually go gain. You can actually gain height when if you manage to find the reconnaissance jet. Oh, damn it! So there was no gas build-up, so I placed that rig in the wrong place. No, wrong button. The only thing I haven't found yet is how to actually adjust my angle and step size. I know you can. No, not there either. You have to also be a bit careful, because every time you place or remove a drilling rig, it drains your energy meter down at the bottom left corner, and it's not good news if that completely drains. I've found that A and Z increase the angle, and S and X increase and decrease the step size. So that's good. I've now found the buttons I need. I think I'll adjust the angle to 15. I'm just going to dash again. I'm just going to dash against that wall to try and get as far out of that. Right, now I'm far enough against that wall that that laser beacon can't see me. Now I'm going to set my angle to 90 degrees, so I'll be in a better position to get around to the. Actually, I don't need to do that, do I? Right. Now I'm going to set my angle back to 15. I was silly. I didn't notice that block hovering above the thing. So all I've got to do is shoot that. And now I've completely taken out that laser beacon. It can't fire at me anymore because I've squashed it. It's one of those that has a cross, so I should have a better chance of being able to place this drilling rig and getting it. %91 success. It's not 100%, but it's the main thing is it's no less than 50%. Now that switch has done something. I just don't know what yet. And as you notice in the top right corner, there's a time limit. Presumably, if that time limit expires, that means all any remaining gas that hasn't any remaining gas build-up issues that haven't been dealt with will cause Mitral to blow up, and that would obviously be bad news for the main planet that it orbits. See what happens if I change these all to squares. Well, let's try triangles first. Or maybe not, because that seems to have caused the door to disappear. See, look, the door's gone. Let's try squares. Well, the door's back. Ooh, what did that do? Oh, the door's gone again. Okay. Ooh, that door wasn't there. That's the door I went through when I had that block over to the top of that beacon, but that door definitely wasn't. No, I remember this as being the place where you can find the jet. Right, there's an arrow there. Right. So those arrows, I'm presuming, are giving me some clues as to where I need to place the drilling rig. The problem is that my drilling rig is very low on energy, so here we go. Is the jet that I tell you about. So I need to just get underneath it and extend upwards into it. Yeah, I just extended upwards into it. Now, as you can see, above the coordinates in the bottom middle of the screen, it's no longer showing that I'm in the excavation probe. I'm now in the jet. So I can, with this, I can fly. Those arrows I found earlier. Oh, I will have fallen off the bottom of the earth. There's no escape from that. You have to be careful not to fall off the edges of the world and make sure you go through doors and don't go off. I made the mistake. You know, if that happens, you basically fall into hell and you can't do anything and you're stuffed. So that's Driller for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. And I know that people, modern gamers might be looking at this and thinking, God, that's laughable. It's all in monochrome and slow. But you've got to bear in mind that without games like this, the 3D graphics that you take for granted in modern games now simply wouldn't have existed. This would have been mind-blowing back in 1987. This was the first time. Well, from what I can make out, the first time that people could basically wander around a 3D environment with anything even remotely like the kind of freedom that modern gamers take for granted. Without this, there probably wouldn't have even been the likes of Doom or anything like that. And that also would have meant that even FPSs would probably not have happened. I forgot you could shoot the walls of that area. That's not me playing this. This is a demo mode. So anyway, as I was saying, this is Driller for the ZX Spectrum. First game to feature solid 3D, and it really is a very clever game, especially for its time. It by and large received rave reviews when it first came out, and from what I can make out. And even as a curiosity piece, it's still great to look at it now, just to show the origins of the kind of games that are so commonplace today. I mean, yeah, you might be looking at this thinking, well, all those controls are really complicated. Well, in all fairness, it's actually not as complicated as you might think. It's not like you get absolutely overloaded. A bit like Sentinel, it's not like you get absolutely overloaded with controls, and there are some which only come into play every so often. So, as I said with that, it's not nearly as overwhelming as it might first appear. And all things considered, it's still quite an absorbing and clever title, and as I said, groundbreaking. I mean, admittedly, because of Spectrum's attribute limitations, it all had to be in monochrome, otherwise there would have been horrendous colour clash. And there are occasionally frame rate issues when there's lots of different things on the screen. But the frame rate drop isn't so bad that it makes the game unplayable. Nor does it necessarily particularly disadvantage you. There's some nice sound effects. I don't think there was ever a version specifically for making use of the 128K Spectrum's capabilities. So my understanding is that the sound effects would have been exactly the same regardless of whether you're playing on 48K or 128K. Yes, this really was playable on a 48K Spectrum. Gameplay, it's absorbing in a way that would have been unimaginable before this game came out, and even now it still has. It's still amazing to look at, considering the limitations of the hardware. I mean, you've got solid 3-dimensional objects, and you can move about them and view them the way you would if you were actually there. So I'm going to give Driller for the Spectrum 8 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed this review and watching a piece of video game groundbreaking history. Hope to catch you on another video soon. Texie88 out.